How's it going, everybody? I'm very excited to bring you guys a brand new video where I'm going to cover the 6 schools of the right, what I think are the 6 main sort of trains of thought that you find in the online right predominantly. And we have the school of reaction, red pill, schizo, bio, race, Tratcon, and esotrat, and I'm going to explain all of this in just a moment. So this video is inspired by academic agent's video by the same name, but he presents 8 schools of the right. And so some of these definitions are a little bit strange. Like, to me, the school of schizo is the same as the school of tribe, right? And why is the school of slop included? Like, slop is a type of content creator, I guess, but is it really a school of the right? But roughly speaking, I like the way he thought about these things, and his designs are better than mine. Doesn't matter. I'm not making this video to disagree with him. I'm making this video so that people watching this can get a decent and thorough and comprehensive overview of what my thoughts are on each of these subjects. I think that's important, and this is going to be very useful for that. So you can get a decent overview of what my actual views on these are, right? Because when you say right wing, people imply a lot of things. So I want to be clear about all of this. First off, we have the school of reaction, and the school of reaction is going to be is what I call passive leftism, right? So you get any form of liberalism or conservatism, whether it's libertarianism, classical liberalism, neoliberalism, neoconservatism, paleoconservatism, even neo-reactionaries are lumped into this category now. And you know these people are all leftists and they're all liberals, but they're passive leftists in that they're against the left, but they don't actually propose a solution. They're against the active left, right? The left that moves dialectics. They oppose the active left, but they don't actually propose a solution as to counter that effectively, right? They have this fantasy that we're going to freeze time in the 1990s, right? This is what Andrew Tate says, Joe Rogan. They're like, well, the 1990s was the peak of humanity. I'm just a 90s liberal when things made sense, and that was common. Well, it's common sense to you because that's your level of like spiritual achievement, right? Like, but to an SJW, far leftism makes more sense. Whatever. So, what are the advantages of this school? They're hyper majoritarian, and they have significant institutional support, which is absolutely necessary to get things done in politics. Elon Musk has been moving things. Trump and Musk have been moving things in their direction for so long, so they're very powerful. The disadvantages are it's just based on a biased sense of nostalgia. As they say, the best liberals are the ones that they're like, oh, we gotta go back to the 1950s. The best case scenario, you get that, and it's like a meme, right? They live in a 1950s vacuum cleaner commercial that never existed. It's a fantasy. The 1990s sucked. You remember them fondly because you were young, right? Like, you were a kid, and those were beautiful times, but they were not at the peak of human nonsense, right? And they lack the awareness or even the willingness to acknowledge that their ideas lead to the very thing that they're supposed to be in opposition of, right? Let me give you a couple of examples, right? Well, it's entirely reactive and it doesn't propose actual alternatives. Let me give you a bunch of examples, right? Oh, I support the nuclear family. Well, the nuclear family is already a disintegration of the extended family, right? You used to live with everyone lived together in a farm, in an estate, right? Parents, grandparents, children, whatever, right? Uncles lived at least nearby in the same fucking village, whatever. So that's the extended family. Everybody lives close. So the nuclear family is an attempt to destroy that for business interest. I'm against socialism, and because we gotta save democracy. It's like, bro, democracy leads to socialism. just things like this, right? Like Andrew Tate, he's a total materialist. He's against communism, but he's a total materialist, right? It's like they don't understand how the things they think. Jordan Peterson made this laughable conservative manifesto. He's redefining, he's reinventing liberalism. What are you talking about? And I like Peterson. He's a good psychologist. He's helped me a lot in terms of that. But, you know, outside of psychology, outside of anything related to politics, he's insane. So, yeah, by the way, I say this with love, because with love and with kindness, that these schools are all lefties and they're all degenerate and they're all profane, because I used to be, I was a classical liberal, then I was a paleoconservative, then I was a neo-reactionary. I understand you gotta go through this process, and it's a very painful process, but you gotta be willing to move away from that if you truly are against communism, social democracy, wokeness, whatever your thing is, right? Let's move on. I don't want to get bogged down too much. The School of Red Pill. What is the School of Red Pill? The School of Red Pill, to me, is just based on a realistic understanding of politics and human nature. That's the main thing about the School of Red Pill. And this can derive into a wide array of different types of content, from the very OGs of Red Pill political thought, Vilfredo Pareto, Gaetano Mosca, I think Robert Michels. I'm not so sure about Michels. I think he's Robert. It doesn't matter. So these are the Machiavellian school, the Italian school of politics, realistic, raw understanding of politics, right? James Burnham, who interprets these people, he has a great book. Pareto, Mosca, even Machiavelli. The Academic Agent has a book. I haven't read it. I want to read it, but it's not that up on my list. Thomas Sowell is very much an OG in terms of like human nature. So you need to have a red pill understanding of human nature and politics to have a proper grounding. If you don't have this, you're gonna go crazy, as I'm going to explain in a moment. But even things like Pinker, Gatsad, dating coaches, these people are important, right? Because they have all their flaws, but even dating coaches, they have a significantly, they're not academics, they're not very like eloquent, they're not whatever, but they explain female nature. It's important to understand female nature. It really is. Advantages, if you need, it's the most essential for having a solid political ground to stand on. If you don't have this, whatever your political intentions are, you're gonna lose control. You're gonna lose your mind. Understand what you can't control. You don't control politics unless you're in a position of power. That's very important. I don't want you to go out there and protest and post schizo shit on your personal profile. Make an alt, bro. You're not convincing anybody. You don't control politics. You don't control normies. You control yourself. You control your family. You control your home. You gotta be a little bit more grounded, a little bit more realistic about take a step back. Don't control what you can't control. You can't control politics. That's very important and a fundamental realization for your movement and for your mental health. What's the disadvantage? It's all dating coaches. It's all people want to think about human nature. They only want to understand female nature because they want to get some ass. That's all they want. They don't really want to get into politics. You watch Fresh and Fit and they're like, well, we're running out of ideas and we're not making enough content and we're going down, whatever. Read Machiavelli, bro. Read James Burnham. Read Nima Parvini. Read these people, bro. You need to understand. You're a red pill guy. Be fully red pill on everything. And the OGs in particular, one of the disadvantages is that they can have very materialistic and a very secular outlook of things. Because if you read Pareto, he's going to tell you that, well, politics is ultimately just to justify power, and even religion is not based on any evidence or facts. He's wrong about that, but they have it can devolve into some form of secular cynicism, right? And moving on to the school of schizo, this one is the most dangerous one. This one is the most edgy, whatever. And the school of schizo it's all about pattern recognition, understanding conspiracies, understanding the particular ethnic group behind a conspiracy, and understanding the dark spiritual and occult undertones and motivations of these people. It's all connected, right? Every single time, early life, they look at the symbols. Oh, look at the triangle, whatever. We're going to look at some symbols, but you can read. I don't even want to say their names because this is so volatile. This is going to get my shit taken down. Henry, the car manufacturer. Kevin, Burger King. Go watch this fucking video. I'm not going to tell you the names. Even Ryan Dawson was on YouTube. Everything got taken down. He's back on Twitter. He's good. He's a libertarian, but he knows a lot about Zionism or things like that. And it's all connected. This is what the School of Tribe and the School of Schizo are the same to me. And what are the advantages of being in this school? You can actually get to the bottom line. Who's behind this and why are they doing the things they're doing? That's important. And that's extremely important, but it has a lot of fucking disadvantages. It's hyper volatile. In some countries, it's illegal. If you're big on this, you're gonna get taken down. You're gonna get debanked, person, whatever. So be careful with this, and it can devolve into bitter, irrational, tactical cynicism. And what does that mean? It's like, look at the symbols, bro. Look at the cult. Look at Saturn. Look little deities, and look at the rituals and the pedophiles and the Bohemian Grove and the numbers, and look at, oh my god, look at the panda eyes. Look at the pizza. Look at the this, that, the other. And it's fine. All of that is interesting, and all of that is valid to me. But it's like, when schizo motherfuckers don't have a solid understanding of politics, they don't know what to make of all of this. They don't know, like, they say nonsense. They start like, oh well, Putin is a Jew. Oh, Hitler, some fucking dope. It was saying that Hitler was controlled opposition. What are you talking about? How the fuck is Hitler controlled opposition? That doesn't make sense. They say this nonsense that has no relationship with real politics. They see conspiracies as a bad thing inherently, just like normies do. They don't understand that all politics is conspiratorial, and then they see conspiracies everywhere and they go fucking crazy. So be very careful with this. Moving on next, the second most controversial one, probably the School of Bio-Race. And the School of Bio-Race, we got it's based on a biological, evolutionary, and Darwinian outlook of human nature and the different subspecies that we have. Its main architect was most definitely Charles Darwin, and a lot of thinkers, supremacists, whatever the hell, they started twisting these things, and they started making some interesting conclusions that we're going to talk about. Edward Dutton is really good. I recommend you watch his video. He's very grounded. He's very specific. He's very scientific minded, and he's really good. You can watch him on YouTube. He has a lot of good things because, let me tell you something, biology can predict a lot. It can explain a lot. It can explain your predisposition to violence. It can predict your predisposition to being religious. It can predict your predisposition to being intelligent, being tall, having good genetics. Biology explains a lot. Evolutionary biology, evolutionary psychology from Darwinian roots explains a lot about human nature, if not most of it. It really does explain a lot, right? So they provide a solid scientific foundation for the very things that red pills are interested in. So they go hand in hand. However, they're also they have this thing where they're easily bastardized and taken hostage by lazy, egalitarian, European and Asian supremacists. And it is egalitarianism. Let me tell you this right now. You look at, like, it's like, oh, well, we don't want, it's like, I was having conversations on Facebook with people who were against bringing in, like, tech guys from India. And I'm also against it for different reasons. But they were like, oh, why are they bringing in these Indians? They got an average IQ of 70. And it's like, why does that matter? Like, the specific Indians that they're bringing in don't have an IQ of 70. They have likely a genetic predisposition to having at least like average IQ. I don't think they're bringing in stupid people from India. I don't think they're bringing in people from India with like a really low IQ with those genetics. And it's like a lot of white supremacists have bad genetics themselves, and they latch onto these things so as to belong, so as to have membership in this great race, right? And Asians do this a lot more because Asians, they don't have a filter. They're collectivist. They don't have a fucking they don't have a like an individualist filter, and they're more insecure, and they're shorter on average, and they have a smaller other things on average, and they're smarter on average, so they love this, and they're the most annoying. You're gonna see a lot of Asian supremacy coming on. It's gonna be annoying. So it also tends towards a biological, materialistic, and very rationalistic and modern way of viewing the world. I really think this is gonna have a tremendous influence on the right in the future. Darwinian thought, Darwinian basis is gonna have a lot more, and it's gonna have a big impact, and it's gonna be materialistic. Materialism isn't just economical; it's also, biological. All of these, like, are you gonna have children, and you gotta have all of these things. So I've made separate videos about this. I don't want to get bogged down. It's a very interesting school. It has a lot of great potential. It's a lot of good things, but it also has a lot of cope, and a lot of egalitarianism, and a lot of make believe, and a lot of nonsense like that. So you gotta be very careful with this one, okay? Then coming up next, we got the School of Trotcon. What is the School of Trotcon? The School of Traditional Conservatives. It's based on a traditional interpretation of Abrahamic faith, whether it's Catholic, Islamic, Jewish. You got one of the previous popes, John Paul. He was like, bro, we gotta get a Catholic monarchy in Poland, bro. They left communism, they gotta go into Catholic monarchy, whatever, right? And they didn't. They became liberals, and they're destroying their nation that way through American ideology, whatever. But it spans people like traditional Catholics, traditional Orthodox Christians, traditional Islamists. I consider Iran to be a traditional interpretation of Islam, as opposed to Afghanistan, that is more fundamentalist, or Saudi Arabia. And they're different. There's a significant difference in different types of Islamism, whether it's fundamentalist, whether it's esoteric like Sufi, whether it's like fundamentalist. That's different. Fundamentalist Protestants, Christians, Muslims, they're like a middle ground between traditional conservatives and reactionaries. They don't fully fit into both of these, but I'm not going to talk about them right now. Even people like Putin, after being a liberal and trying to integrate himself with the West for the last fucking 12 years, he's like, bro, for the last 20 years, he's like, bro, no, these fucking liberals are crazy, bro. We gotta restore the monarchy. We gotta be Orthodox. We gotta be Christians. It's like, well, I think that's a little bit too late. People are communists. People are atheists, leftists, materialists. They don't care. They're not going to church. They're really not going to church, bro. They're having abortions like crazy over there, which I'm not necessarily against, but that's what Catholics believe. Whatever. The main advantage is that they have a positive right-wing vision of the world. They actually offer a solution. This is an idea that we can aim towards with Christian ethics, Islamic ethics, whatever the case may be. It has a big pool of potential people that can come in and be a part of it. And the disadvantages is since they're Abrahamic, they're secretly progressive, but they're progressive in the inverse, right? They're like, history is linear and everything's gonna get worse and worse and worse until the Messiah comes back, and there's nothing you can do, and it's over, and it's doom and gloom, and and we're gonna die, whatever. And it can devolve into an obsession with Puritan morality, as opposed to, which is not, like Putin, right? He's out there like banning, cracking down on gay clubs, and that's fine. But I think a lot of people have the misconception that we can like destroy and get rid of degeneracy, and I don't necessarily believe that, because that's degeneracy is the darkness in the world that is a part of us. Degenerate is inside all of us. It's the thing that keeps the world alive, right? Our impulse to eat, our impulse to have sex, all of that's part of our degenerate being, and it's necessary for life, and it should be minimized, should be understood, it should be controlled. But to think that you can destroy that, I think is a big mistake, and I don't think it's possible. In traditional societies, there was always like a little fucking brothel in the corner of the fucking town where degenerates would go there. And well, we didn't have democracy, so it didn't matter that we had degenerates because they wouldn't infect the rest of society. That's what I'm trying to get. Whatever. So since they're Abrahamics, you're not gonna tell them Buddhist wisdom. You're not gonna tell them Hindu wisdom, because that would be paganism. Just Catholics are, Christians are very funny to me. They will never accept meditation techniques from Buddhism, whatever, because that would be paganism. But they never see a contradiction between being a Catholic and being a capitalist, between being a Christian and being a Democrat. I don't know. That they don't see the contradiction there. But if you give them more perennial wisdom, they're not gonna take it. Whatever. So they're very close-minded in that sense, and they have very little institutional support. Right? Iran, their power is fading. The Catholic Church has been usurped. How much is Putin really gonna do? Does he really have a Catholic coalition through which he can actually make a significant impact in spirituality? I don't think so. Coming up next, the School of Esotrad, the School of Esoteric Traditionalism, and is based on an ancient Aryan, solar, and perennial spirituality, and a complete rejection of the ideas that uphold and influence modernity. What is the left? Modernity is an era, and leftism are the ideas that uphold modernity. So you have to understand where they come from. They come from what? Lunar traditions, lunar spirituality, right? And it's in opposition to the true right, which is solar spirituality. So you have perennialists, Evoluians, even neo-pagans would fit into this category. Potentially traditionalists from a dharmic society, Hindus, Buddhists, whatever. And Guénon, Evola, great writers, fantastic advantages. They truly get to the core of what we should be, right? If the School of Schizo gets to the core of what we shouldn't be, the School of Esotrad gets to the core of what we should be. And they really understand what is the spiritual nature of where we are, where we're going. They understand history better than anybody, because they actually understand why history happens, right? Like, historians focus on what happened, who did what, who did whatever, but do they really understand why history happens, right? You got to think about that. And they have the most genuine positive vision for the right, to oppose leftism. This is the most purely anti-leftist train of thought you could have. What are the disadvantages? They're very extreme. They're very out there. It's esoteric. It's hidden knowledge. You can't go to a normie and explain these things to them. They're gonna think you're insane. Their mind has been totally consumed by nonsense. It's very hard to get them out of there. You can't come in. So it's really hard to get this out there, and it's something that has to operate in the shadows moving forward to a large extent, and it has no political pathway to bring about a positive change. That's something I'm trying to change. I actually have my own ideology with my own institutions and my own incentives and my own rules and my own ideas to have a traditional political order in the modern era that's going to sow the seeds for traditionalism in the future. That's something that I will reveal eventually to the right people, but for the time being, this video ended. This is all I've got for you guys. So let me know what you think. And see you later.